President Trump posted on Truth Social, quote, "If the radical left Democrats don't immediately sign an agreement to let our country, in particular our airports, be free and safe again, I will move our brilliant and patriotic ICE agents to the airports where they will do security like no one has ever seen before." Now, in a subsequent post, he said that he instructed ICE agents to be ready by Monday. And now the president is saying that you, sir, are going to be in charge. How is that going to work? Are ICE agents going to move into American airports starting tomorrow, Monday?
Yes. And I'm currently working on the plan now of execution, working with the director of ICE and the administrator at TSA, the acting administrator. So we'll put together a plan today and we'll execute tomorrow.
Okay, so there are a lot of questions here. First of all, are ICE agents even remotely trained to handle security at airports?
ICE agents receive a high level of training. And, you know, the ICE agents are assigned at many airports across the country already. They do a lot of investigation, criminal investigation on smuggling at airports. But, you know, there's got TSA agents covering exits, you know, people that enter through the exits. You know, certainly a highly trained ICE law enforcement officer can cover an exit, makes people don't go through those exits, entering the airport through the exits, and that stuff like that relieves that TSA officer to go to screening and to reduce those lines. So wherever we can provide extra security, I don't see an ICE agent looking at an X-ray machine because they're not trained in that. But there are certain parts of security that TSA is doing that we can move them off those jobs and put them in the specialized jobs, help move those lines.
Okay, that was going to be my next question. So what you're saying is when you move ICE into airports, they are going to be just around the exits and the exteriors. They're not going to be helping people get through the lines and screening people's bags.
Those discussions are going on now. I'm not expert at TSA, so that's why I'm talking to the TSA administrator and the ICE director, find out where we can fit in. We'll have a plan by the end of today where we're sending, what airports we're starting with and where we're sending them, but that's a discussion we're having right now. I mean, I ended the discussion to do the show, and I'll be back having those discussions when I finish. So it's a work in progress, but we will be at the airports tomorrow helping TSA move those lines along.
And I know you said it's a work in progress, but at least at the beginning, are there specific airports that you're thinking about starting with? And how many ICE agents are you considering deploying to do this?
Again, that's going based on discussions we're having today. I think we need to, my opinion is that we concentrate on the airports where the longest waits are. We prioritize those. The large airports where there's a long wait, like 3 hours. I think we got to prioritize what we do like we do everything else. So again, having those discussions, continued discussions after the show with the leadership of those agencies will lead us to some decisions based on prioritization, where we deploy, how quick we deploy, how many agents we deploy. So. Right. Hopefully we'll have all those answers here by this afternoon, but we're working on it. And when we deploy tomorrow, we'll have a well thought out plan to execute.
With respect, if you're doing this in 24 hours, how well thought out could it possibly be?
Again, ICE has been at airports across the country for a long time. It's just expanding those things. Look, how much of a plan does it mean to guard an exit to make sure no one comes through that exit?
And
I mean, we're talking about security options, and these officers are well trained in security, and they're well trained in identification. And look, we're going to do what we can to help TSA move those people through the line.
And last question on this, because this is important, and I realize that this is clearly a plane that you're creating while it's in the air here, but this is a question that a lot of people are asking. Is it just going to be crowd control, or will ICE officers also be doing immigration enforcement while they are at the airports?
We do immigration enforcement at the airports all the time. So is that going to change? It's not going to change. This is about helping the men and women at TSA. They've lost several hundred employees. The lines are really slow because of the shutdown. This is about helping TSA do their mission and get the American public through that airport as quick as they can. While adhering to all the security guidelines and the protocols, we're simply there to help TSA do their job in areas that don't need their specialized expertise, such as, screening through the X-ray machine. Not training that, we won't do that. But there are roles we can play to release TSA officers from the non-significant roles, such as guarding an exit, so they can get back to the scanning machines and move people quicker. And we're just simply helping our fellow officers at TSA.
I'm going to bring in my panel now to respond to that. Welcome, one and all. Congressman Kiley, I should say the last time you were on the show, you were a Republican. Since then, you've switched your party affiliation to independent as you try to work through the redistricting in your home state of California. What do you think about the idea of sending ICE to airports?
Well, the lines that people are having to deal with are a problem, a big problem. And so, anything we can do to make travel a little more seamless right now, I think is fine. But that is a very temporary and not ideal solution. What we need to do is fund the Department of Homeland Security. That'll get our TSA agents paid. That'll get our Coast Guard paid. That'll get FEMA funded. And we can do this in a way that reaches a bipartisan compromise around this issue related to ICE. I think there are common sense reforms that both sides can support. But having an unfunded Department of Homeland Security at a moment when we have this heightened threat environment in the United States, it is absolutely unacceptable. And it is such a clear example of how Congress is broken in so many ways.
Congresswoman Dingell?
Well, I agree with you that Congress is broken, but here's the fact of the matter. I have a lot of questions about what he said. Are they going to be wearing masks? What are the functions that they're going to be performing? Are they going to make it more complicated? Are people going to be more scared? Are they going to threaten people? Are people going to start to see people not even willing to travel because they're intimidated by them? Here's the reality. We could settle this tomorrow and fund TSA, FEMA, which, by the way, got gutted a year ago, not in this funding of Homeland Security by DOJ, and fund the Coast Guard and deal with the ICE issue, which has to be dealt with front and center.
Yeah, look, I think I associate myself with the gentleman's from California's comments, right? I think he's spot on. Look, Congresswoman, Tom Homan was up on the Hill negotiating, trying to get this bill passed in the Senate. You've seen the White House give on lots of things, cameras, identification on ICE. The White House has given and given and given. Fact of the matter is, Chuck Schumer is just a chicken shit, I'll say it, because he's concerned that he's not going to be the majority leader, doesn't want to pass anything that doesn't just blow up ICE. And so that's why we're stuck here. It's not anything to do. Everybody knows what has to be done. Chuck Schumer won't allow it to be done in the Senate, and that's where we are. American people, call the Senate, complain to Chuck Schumer, tell him to pass the bill now.
That's not
100% true, 100% accurate.
Well, I like to align myself with the Congresswoman. Surprise, surprise. Look, in what world do you think it's really a good idea for ICE to be at airports? In what world do you think the American public actually want that? When they have seen how ICE has behaved in cities, Republican and Democrat. Donald Trump and this administration is underwater with their immigration policies. Yes, they like how the border is being handled. They do not like how ICE is in their cities, and they sure won't like how ICE will be in their airports, especially when they're still going to have to wait in line with them there and them being fearful. This is not good politically. This is not good policy, and this is not good politically. That's my free advice. But the reality is, the reason what the Congresswoman was saying is, I think Americans are just like, let's take this piecemeal. TSA, pass it. If you obstruct TSA, I will have a problem with you. I don't think anybody on our side would actually obstruct it. Let's fund FEMA. No, we all
Chuck
have
Schumer.
I would.
Chuck Schumer would
not fund.
has
not
supported
oppose
bills.
that.
We've got a discharge petition to fund the other three. And are you going to? I want to give you one simple issue:
Give him
the
a chance.
Constitution. Do you believe in the Constitution?
Of course I do.
And warrants? Do you not? Think
Oh, no. Hold on. No, the warrant issue is completely, that's a red herring because.
No, it's not.
No, yes, it is, ma'am. The Constitution has, these immigration officials, when they're going in these specific things, there are administrative procedures that allow them to go in. They're not going in without authorization. There's there's law that allows them to do this without a warrant in those instances.
And they're shooting Americans in the
ICE
face.
ICE agents here. Tom Homan, Barack Obama gave Tom Homan an award. Tom Homan is going to run this professionally. He's trying to help Americans get to where they're doing, eliminate the lines, alleviate American suffering. ICE isn't going to be there. The ICE
But he
in
said he wasn't
Milwaukee.
changing any policy.
So on
The
this
ICE in
warrant
Milwaukee
issue,
is not
I'll
gonna
say
be
that
there.
I actually voted for a judicial warrant requirement in order to enter homes. I've also voted to say we should have agreements so that ICE is not operating near child care centers or near schools. I think, and I've also supported, by the way, though, making sure that local jurisdictions honor detainer requests when they come for ICE for people who have committed crimes in addition to be in the country illegally. So I think that is the sort of compromise we need around this issue. I think that the things I just listed are supported by the vast majority of Americans. And so we need Congress to come together to reflect what the American people are asking for.
And if anybody thinks that ICE is going to be with masks and like they're going to be they look like
How do we
glorified
know?
TSA agents.
We don't know though.
Okay, well,
He told me he's
show up at
developing
TSA tomorrow, a
the
DCA
plan
tomorrow. I'll
now.
be there
But
tomorrow.
listen, this is the thing. It's like, this is also what blew my mind this Sunday morning is he's like, we haven't figured out the plan. We'll figure it out by tonight. Do you know how many airports are in America? Do you know how much
Or which
how much
ones we're even going to?
Well, they don't
or
know
how
yet.
much
I'm sure
training
Tom Homan knows.
these ICE agents should have before they actually go out? What are we doing?
President Trump has said that if this is not resolved, he's sending ICE to the airports to fill in for TSA. Now, I'm not asking you to comment on the political element of this, but what's the training necessary to do that job effectively? How long does it take? How involved is it?
So to become a TSO, we have to go to FLETC, Federal Law Enforcement Training Camp. That's about 2 to 3 weeks, depending on your program. And then afterwards, you have about 2 additional months of training on the floor. We learn X-ray operations. We learn how to work, our walkthrough, metal detectors. There's a lot of ins and outs of becoming a TSO. Those officers are not trained to do so. They're ICE. They're federal law enforcement in a different spectrum.
And so what's your degree of concern if that is what it comes to, that there will be ICE officers there doing the job of trained TSOs?
I think it's going to be terrible in all retrospects because, one, the fear mongering, the aggression, they're cops at the end of the day. That's a whole other type of training. We're taught to be more so customer friendly. We're taught to be more so understanding of people's concerns. Law enforcement, that's not their realm.
Let me ask you, it's a peculiar question to ask as we're talking about people who are not being paid, but I read that you did this because you wanted to serve your country. Do you miss it? Do you miss the job?
Absolutely, I do. I miss the purpose. I think we've gotten away from the narrative of what we were there for and what TSA was created for. It gave me a purpose to put on my badge, to put on my uniform, to be proud to serve my community. And I feel like we've gotten away from that.